the wise king. There was a kingdom, and they had a very peculiar rule that you could lead and rule the country for 5 years. And after 5 years, you would have to cross the river, go across the jungle, and be thrown to be eaten by all of these animals. So all of the animals would eat you. And you would think, which king would want to be part of this? Well, all the kings wanted to be part of this because they had absolute power for 5 years. So the first king came, and he knew after 5 years he has to go across the river. He would be thrown to all of the animals and he would be eaten. But he spent 5 years in pleasure. He just wanted to enjoy. So he ate, he drank, he socialized, he partied, he did everything. And at the end of the 5 years, he was, of course, thrown to all of the animals. The second king came along, and he heard about the first king. And what he did was, he spent 5 years living in fear. Every time he was on edge. After 5 years, I'm going to get across the river and thrown into the animals. After 5 years, this is going to happen. After 5 years, this is going to happen. And this just kept recording on his mind again and again and again. And he was always on edge. He didn't enjoy his reign at all. And sure enough, after 5 years, they took him across the river and he got thrown to all of the animals. The third king came. He understood. The first king lived in pleasure. Second king lived in fear. He said, I'm not going to make the same mistake. I'll enjoy for the first 3 years. And the last 2 years, I'll think of something. He enjoyed like anything for the first 3 years. But the last 2 years, he was on edge because he couldn't find a solution. His mind was too extroverted, too much into indulgence, that even to bring himself to think about a solution was hard. He couldn't do it. And so he also, after 5 years, he was taken across the river, thrown to the animals to be eaten. Then the fourth king came. He saw the first one lived in pleasure. Second one lived in fear. Third one lived in delay, in procrastination. He said, I'm going to do things a little bit different. I'm going to rule the kingdom in a proper way. I'm going to give my best to the people, and we'll see what happens. And he spent all of his time ruling the kingdom, developing it, making it better, and the people loved him so much. After 5 years, they were afraid to let him go because he was such a great king. And they said, we don't want you to go. And he was very calm, very poised. He said, don't worry, I'm not really going anywhere. And they said, what do you mean? You know, you're going to be taken across the river and fed to the animals. He said, listen, as I was ruling, I had my people go across the river, clear out that entire forest, build a nice new palace so that I could live there after I retired. So I'll just be across the river and you can come see me there. This was the king who lived in wisdom. He didn't waste his time in pleasure or in fear or in delay, but at each stage he planned, he thought for his future, and he lived beautifully in the present. And because he lived in wisdom, he continued to live. When we live in wisdom, we truly live. Hari Om.